Have you ever stood in the kitchen at midnight, staring at the glow of the fridge, and realized the silence between you has its own gravitational pull? You're not fighting. You're not even hurt. You're just untranslated. What if I told you the distance between I'm fine and I matter is measured in the phrases we refuse to speak? High-value women don't communicate better. They rewrite the lexicon of longing. Neuroscience proves it. Every "we need to talk" floods the amygdala like a burglar alarm. But what if your words became bridges instead of battlegrounds? These 8 phrases aren't pickup lines. They're soul syntax. The language of women who've kissed their own scars and decided, I will not bargain for belonging. Phrase 1. I choose conversations that nourish us both. John Gottman found marriages die not in shouting but in starvation. The 1,000 uneaten meals of "How was your day?" met with "Fine." Nourishment means saying, your silence won't starve me, but I'm setting a table for 2. This isn't patience, it's sovereignty. The quiet roar of a woman who knows connection grows in soil, not laboratories. Think of your words as seeds. Every "how did that meeting really feel?" or "I want to know the story behind your silence" is a trowel turning over hard earth. Gottman called these bids for connection. Tiny lifelines thrown across the gap between 2 nervous systems. But too many women water dead soil, begging for scraps of attention. A high-value woman? She doesn't plead for crumbs. She bakes a feast, lights candles, and lets the aroma of her authenticity draw hungry hearts home. Phrase 2. Your silence speaks and I'm listening. Attachment theory whispers, withdrawal is often fear wearing an invisibility cloak. Say this when he retreats into caves of "I'm tired" or "not now." Not to chase, to witness. Bowlby was right. Protest behavior fuels the chase. But high-value women, they illuminate the cave mouth and keep warm a space at the fire. The choice to enter? Always his. Here's the neuroscience they don't teach you. Male emotional withdrawal isn't about you. It's often the ventral vagus nerve short-circuiting, the body's ancient freeze response to perceived threat. When you say your silence speaks, you're not condoning absence. You're reframing it. I see your survival mechanisms, but I won't mistake them for my unworthiness. This phrase is the antidote to anxious attachment, a velvet hammer that says I'm here without screaming, prove you love me. Phrase 3. I'm here to connect, not to convince. The moment you argue for your worth, you've already handed over the scales. This phrase is your relational keel, the ballast that keeps you upright when storms of "prove you love me" threaten to capsize you. David Schnarch taught us, differentiation is the oxygen of passion. Translation, I am wholly yours only when I am wholly mine. Most relationship advice tells women to communicate needs, but needs ungrounded in self-awareness become demands. Needs rooted in knowing become invitations. When you say I'm here to connect, you're invoking what psychologists call secure base theory. You're both the mountain and the valley. No bargaining, no performing, just presence. Remember, butterflies land on still flowers, not one's flapping desperate wings. Let this phrase be your stillness. These first 3 phrases aren't about fixing him. They're about reclaiming you, the you who doesn't shrink love into something small enough to fit in his pockets. Stay with me. The next layer goes deeper. Phrase 4. My peace is non-negotiable. Not a threat, a biochemical boundary. Cortisol decreases the moment your tongue wraps around this truth. Use it when he's late, when his jokes bruise, when compromise tastes like swallowing broken glass. You're not giving up, you're gardening, uprooting what starves your light to make space for what thrives in your truth. Modern relationships often confuse adaptation with abandonment, but listen closely. Boundaries aren't walls, they're the skeletal system of selfhood, invisible until pressed, then unyielding as bone. Neuroscience reveals that women with strong boundaries have thicker prefrontal cortices, the brain region governing self-respect. Every time you say my peace is non-negotiable, you're literally rewiring your neural pathways from what will he think to what do I owe myself. Phrase 5. Let's meet where our truths align. Relationships aren't Venn diagrams of sameness. They're tectonic plates, grinding, shifting, birthing continents. This phrase maps the sacred overlap, where his fear of commitment kisses your terror of abandonment, and both whisper, we can build here. Gottman's bid for connection in HD. I see your core, show me mine. Most couples crash on the rocks of why can't you just, High-value women ask better questions. Where does your yes live? This phrase is relational cartography, charting the coordinates where your authentic yeses intersect. It's not compromise, it's collision of truths, sparking something third, something molten and new. Psychologists call this generative tension. Poets call it love. Phrase 6. I honor your journey without losing mine. Society calls this selfish. Neuroscience calls it preservation of prefrontal cortex integrity. Say this when he prioritizes work, when his trauma overshadows your growth, when love feels like vanishing. You're not less invested. You're cartographing, drawing borders that say, my soul is not a tributary to your river. Attachment theory warns of the dependency paradox. The closer we cling, the more we drown. But here's the secret. True intimacy requires distance. Not coldness, space for oxygen to feed the fire. When you honor his journey without abandoning yours, you activate what psychologists term secure autonomy, the art of being interdependent, not codependent. This phrase is your declaration. I will love you in paragraphs, not sentences, leaving room for margins where we both grow. Boundaries aren't endings, they're the architecture of evolution. Now the final frontier, phrases that turn wounds into wisdom. Phrase 7. Your fear doesn't define my worth. His commitment phobia, his ex, his I'm not good enough. Let them clatter like hail on stone. This is emotional Aikido, using his resistance to reveal your unshakable core. High-value women grasp what Brené Brown nailed. Don't shrink, don't puff, just stand. Neuroplasticity shows us, every time you internalize his fears as your failure, you etch neural grooves of self-doubt. This phrase is cognitive restructuring, a neural rebuke to centuries of conditioning that taught women to be emotional janitors. Say it until your mirror neurons fire differently, until his I can't meets your I still can, until his limitations become his work, not your worth. Phrase 8. We grow through what we flow through, not toxic positivity. Post-traumatic growth, the art of rewriting scars as compass roses. When he fails, when you fail, when the dream seems drowned, say this, mean this, become this. Because resilience isn't weathering the storm. It's learning to dance in the rain without forgetting your rhythm. Psychologist Richard Tedeschi found that trauma survivors who grow don't recover, they reconfigure. This phrase is your reconfiguration anthem. It acknowledges pain without enshrining it. It says, our cracks are how the light gets recycled into strength. Use it when love feels like a battle, when the easy thing is to harden, when you're tempted to trade vulnerability for armor. These phrases aren't magic. They're mirrors, showing you who you've always been beneath the shoulds and supposed tos. You weren't put here to be chosen. You're here to choose yourself, relentlessly, gorgeously, until every I love you you accept feels like an echo, not a revelation. Now, look at your life, your love, your unanswered texts, and ask, am I speaking or am I singing? The world is waiting for your voice, not an echo, a song. Which phrase became your heartbeat today? Name it in the comments. I'm here, listening. And if this found you when the silence got too loud, share it. Someone's waiting to sing along. You were never meant to whisper.